Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. And happy Valentine's Day. I trust you are feeling as well as you can in this moment, despite whatever circumstances you may be going through. Today is one of those days where it's a lovely celebration, literally, but it might come with expectations from others or expectations you place on yourself. Regardless of how you feel this day should or shouldn't go, I hope you can find some relief knowing that you're exactly where you're meant to be in life right now, and it doesn't have to be any other way. Everything you need is with you now, and your journey is gradually unfolding just at the pace that you set. I'd love to set the intention for this space as one for us to come together as fellow students of life, to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiments. Our first guests are joining now. Welcome, dear Catherine, and thank you for your likes on the live. Never expected. Thank you as well, dear Fish. Welcome, dear Annette. Welcome, Usha Priyaji. Hello, Gwendolyn Priya and Lucifer. Hello, Anna and Asad. I am early today, aren't I? Welcome, Duality Machine. Hello, Anna Music Note. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you? Welcome, Roxana. Hello, Frank and Leo. Early bird catches the spiritual worm. And the spiritual bird leaves the worm alone. Worm's trying to live his wormy life. You're doing very well, Anna Music Note. Thank you. Happy late Valentine's Day for you. Namaste, Anna Marquez. Allow me to begin our Sangha with an invocation of a Shanti prayer, a peace mantra from the Taittiriya and Katha Upanishads. Sahana bhavatu, sahana bhanaktu, sahaviryam karva vahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvisha vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Divine protect us both together. May the Divine nourish us both together. May our studies be vigorous and effective, and may we not mutually dispute or hate any. Om. May there be peace in us. May there be peace in our environment. And may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Hello, dear Rock Sandwich. Dear soul, you're wondering, did I dye my hair? No, but you might be seeing the reflection from the blue light. Now you can see the shadow. Hello, dear Thali. Hello, Bumoles. You can tell me if I can pronounce your name better. I'm good. How are you? Dear Sherry, you're wondering, what name did my parents give me? My parents gave me the name Liam. Lyam. And when I stop taking L's, I go by Yam. Dear Luna, you ask, am I happier after taking this path? I am a much happier person both inside and to be around when it comes to the people in my life. I don't know if I'm as happy as I was when I was fresh out of the womb. But I've come a long way since being a ruffian. That's right, dear Anna. I woke up earlier so I can go on a date with the divine. Salutations, dear Midge. You can tell me if I could pronounce your name better too. Midja Freedom. Fredrum. Midja Fredrum. Midga Fredrum. So many combinations and permutations. Thank you, dear Gwendolyn Priya, for your tiny. Yippee! I am sure that whatever you choose, dear Rock Sandwich, will be a bountiful expression of your divine soul. Hello, dear Horizon. Welcome, dearest G. Thank you, dear Rock Sandwich. Happy Valentine's Day, dear Melinda. Happy Valentine's Day to you all. I'm drinking wine. And in case I hear any one of you say, "But Yam, I thought you didn't drink." This is de-alcoholized wine. De-alcoholized. We're drinking Carl Jung, apparently. The great psychoanalyst. He has been distilled into a liquid. Poor Carl Jung. Poor Carl Gustav Jung. Dear Oroshi, you ask, do I ever have a bad day? If so, how to overcome it? If you have a bad day, have a bad day. Instead of overcoming it and trying to make it into a good day, just have the baddest day that you can. You know, really give into the badness of that day. If that's the theme of the day, identify with that. Have fun with that. And tomorrow couldn't get any worse. If you're feeling sad, be sad. Whatever you're feeling, allow yourself. Sounds good, dear Midge. Good morning, dear CEO. Hello, dear Asher. Radhe, Radhe, dear Magdalene Priya. Dear Roxanne, you share your Valentines will be spent with the love of your life for once, which is you. I'm happy to hear that. Dear Magdalene Priya, you're wondering if you can see my brooch up close. See if I can position myself. Maybe I can zoom in for you. It's a cat. The cat is pinning my Rudraksha mala. Hello, dear lone wolf. Hello, dear Billy. I am so early and so snazzy going out to eat. Going down to eat, if you know what I mean. No, I'm just dressed up for you all. Thank you, dear Gary, for the heart me you send. Karning Kali Kai Nama. And Dearest Midge, thank you for your heart, me too. Om Kamalir Mahakali Kai Namah. Sorry for not being in harmony with the background music. Hello, dear Stevie G. Jai Gurudev. Hello, dear. Hades Cold. Dear Nico, you're wondering, what is the current playlist? We're listening to Saraswati's Sitar Symphony. And hello, dear Med. Welcome, Dee. There was a question I didn't see. And a music note you asked, is the wine good? Well, I'm no wine connoisseur. I don't know what they do. They do all sorts of these weird rituals to determine all of the flavor notes and whatnot. Ooh, yes, look at its legs. Look at its arms and legs. Look at its feet. And look at the way it blows in the wind. Oh, yes. Oh, can you hear? Oh, can you hear the cedar in it? And that touch of burgundy. Can you hear that? Oh yes. Oh wow. Just tastes like wine. Every wine I've ever had, it just tastes like wine. Wine is wine. Oh, thank you, dear Stevie G. Thank you, Roxanne, for your heart, me too. Om Kali Mahakali Kalke Parameshwari Sarvanandakari Devi Narayani Namostute. And thank you, dear Jason, for your heart, me too. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dear Azure, you ask, what is my beliefs on the spiritual journey after death? After death? Well, what's your thoughts on the spiritual journey before birth? And there's your answer. Whatever death is, be it the undoing of birth, we only return to the very same place which this being has come from. Is it not so? Hello, dear Mads. No, I have not heard of that song, but you are music to my ears. Ah, glad you noticed that, dear Stevie G. Thank you, dear Jason, for your 20 crystal roses too. Hariom Tatsat. And Roxanne, thank you for your trio of team cheers. Jai Sita Rama. And Gwendolyn Priya, thank you for your hearts. Radhe Radhe. Hello, dear Keelan. Hello, Pluto. You know your scripture, dear Cog. Let us continue where we left off in the journey home. Besides this being Valentine's Day, it will be a particularly regular live stream in terms of format. So, if you would like to read with me for the next 10 minutes or so, maybe longer, let's continue where we left off, and my attention shall return to the comment section after I am done reading. Yes, I can turn the music down a little bit for you, dear Lone Wolf. Today we begin the 6th chapter of the second act of the journey home. May this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. I was sitting on a lonely Himalayan footpath one day when a fearsome tribe of perhaps 20 men approached. They were holding iron tridents crowned with human skulls, and each held their trident like a processional flag. Heavy coils of matted hair were piled on their heads, and their knotted beards swung in rhythm to their march. From their dreadlocks to their bare feet, a thick covering of ashes covered their flesh, and strands of rudraksha beads hung from their necks. On their foreheads they smeared the 3-line symbol of Shiva, and around their waists they wrapped iron chains draped with bright red loincloths to cover their groins. Except for the loincloths, they were naked even in the biting cold. Some remained completely naked. These were the Naga Babas, vowed to celibacy for life. The Nagas often performed tantric methods to kill sexual desire or mystically transform it into psychic powers. Ignoring social conventions, many roam naked as a disciple. You can't have the word discipline without disciple. As a discipline, the text reads. Their unshorn hair was but one act of diverting attention away from the body completely, a form of renunciation. The Naga Baba sect has existed since the prehistoric past, and some Naga sects have fought as armies against Mughal and British conquerors, Buddhists, and even other sects of Hindus. My mind burned with eagerness to understand why anyone would choose such a severe life. I mustered my courage and asked to travel with them. One among them, who spoke English, asked the others. They displayed their approval by raising their tridents high above their head, shouting, "Jai Shankar!" and dragging me by the arm into their entourage. I was quickly accepted as a brother. After walking many miles, we stopped on the bank of a river to set up camp where a priest named the Dhuni Baba gathered wood and lit a sacred fire. All the Naga Babas sat around it. I too approached the fire to sit among them. The divine masculine urge to become a Naga Baba in the Himalayas. A horrifying shriek jolted my wits. Turning, I saw Dhuni Baba screaming in rage, bolting toward me with his trident raised over his head. His eyes blazed red, lips quivered, and limbs trembled as he waved the trident over my head. Shouting curses, the assembly of Nagas unleashed furious stares at me. I was utterly bewildered. What had I done? Was my life to end by the trident of the Naga Babas? I prayed. One of the Babas, his face contorted with disgust, pointed to my rubber sandals. I yanked them off and hurled them far into the jungle. The Nagas stared. Everything was still as I held my breath. The Nagas erupted into a hearty laughter and welcomed me to sit among them. As the tension broke, I exhaled and drew in a breath of mountain air, taking my seat on the cold ground, but still quite bewildered. The one Naga who spoke some English explained, "The sacred fire is our temple. No shoes are allowed. Actually, we are not angry. This is our method to teach you a lesson you will never forget. Dhuni Baba has given you much kindness today." I solemnly promised him that I would never forget this lesson. Dhuni Baba grinned. In the center of the sacrificial fire, they planted an upright trident representing Shiva. Then, chanting mantras, they offered oblations of clarified butter and, at a certain point in the ceremony, presented a clay pipe called a chillum before the altar. Still chanting mantras, they ceremoniously filled the chillum with a type of marijuana called ganja and gave the first honors to a senior Naga. He reverentially held the chillum to his forehead and chanted incantations before puffing it. Then they passed the pipe around the fire. Each Naga chanted mantras before smoking. When it was passed to me, I hesitated. My mind flashed back to that smoke-filled cellar in Kandahar, Afghanistan, where I made a promise before the Lord. As respectfully as I could, I declined. A hush fell over the Nagas. They stared at me with discontent and then erupted into shouts of Mahaprasad, Mahaprasad, Shankar, Mahaprasad. The English-speaking Naga translated, "This is Shiva's mercy. You must honor it with us. It will help you to meditate on the infinite. If you refuse, it is a punishable offense." The rest of them stared at me like a vengeful mob. "I vowed to never take intoxicants," I said softly. He translated my words to the Nagas, and they fell into an eerie silence. Then, one of them stood up to gather wood and fed it into the sacred fire. Pausing, he stared at me and shook his head in disapproval. My head swirled. Is this fire going to be my funeral pyre? Suddenly, all the Nagas smiled at me. Dhuni Baba affectionately rubbed my head and laughed. They honored my vow to abstain from ganja. To my relief, an iron pot was placed on the fire for cooking dinner. When the cooking of the rice and dal was complete, Dhuni Baba offered part of it into the fire while chanting mantras. The remainder became the sanctified food called prasad and was served to the assembled Nagas. That night, we all slept near the fire, and in the morning, after bathing in the chilly river, I watched as they smeared their bodies with the ashes of the sacred fire, which they did whenever crematorium ashes were not close by. Perhaps because of the bitter cold, the fire was the most popular place to be. Some of them smoked ganja, while other Nagas meditated or chanted mantras on their Rudraksha beads. Then, before my eyes, an elder Naga, sitting motionless in the lotus posture, slowly levitated about a foot off the ground. Another Baba near the fire did the same. I pinched myself just to be sure I wasn't dreaming. No, I was awake. Just in another world, a world of rough and rowdy mendicants aloof to everything but their own reality. Everywhere there are outlaws who break the law, and here, retreating in their forest hideout, are these Naga Babas who effortlessly break the laws of gravity. They are so much in harmony with the natural laws that they are free to play with them as they like. This is a reminder that this is an autobiography, not a book of fiction. While these two Nagas floated in the air, I looked around to see the others' reaction. The rest of the Nagas paid no attention. Levitating was common practice to them. The next morning, we received a summons from the Naga tribe's guru. We traveled to the forest where, I was told, their guru was performing his severe yogic meditation while sitting for days in the lotus posture without movement, food, or water. As we strode through the bushes, the English-speaking Naga, who had become my translator, enlightened me about their leader. He abandoned his home at the age of 12 to become a Naga Baba. Strict in yogic discipline, he never indulges in smoking ganja or any intoxication, like many of us, nor does he engage in any sensual pleasure. Meditating almost constantly, he has attained supernatural powers that are a wonder to see. He seldom speaks, but when he does, everybody listens. It took 6 hours until we came to a clearing in the forest where the Naga's guru presided. His enormous body was folded in the lotus posture, and his form pulsated with power. Perhaps in his 70s, his grey matted hair extended down his back and stretched several feet on the ground. Naked and covered with a thick layer of ashes, his eyes were shut in meditation. One Naga Baba beat a primitive kettle drum with a tree branch, while another blew a buffalo horn to rouse the guru and announce our arrival. The guru slowly opened his eyes. Without blinking, he stared at me. I shivered. All the Nagas gathered around to witness the event. There was pin-drop silence. A deep, growling voice emerged from the guru's mouth as he bellowed out, "Why waste your life? You become Naga." Smashing his fist against his massive bare chest, he boomed out, "Naga will conquer illusion. Naga is Man." Aiming his finger to my face, he slowly shook his head and blasted, "You become Naga Baba. Now, not tomorrow. Now." The guru's stare sizzled right through me. Feeling like a tiny mouse in the presence of a roaring lion, I wondered if his mere glance would reduce me to ashes. He waited for my answer, as they all did. What should I say? What was to come? I had to follow my heart. I stood in silence. Long seconds passed. The Naga Guru seemed to be staring right into my mind. In that silence, I now felt confident that he would understand me, would understand that, while I appreciated his path, it was not my own. With a gaze of acknowledgement, he raised his thick, powerful hand, and closing his eyes in meditation, he offered me his blessings. "Yes, God will bless you," he said. The Naga Babas praised my good fortune and went back to their activities. Through yogic discipline, this Naga Guru radiated an unearthly power that invoked both awe and fear, and his determination seemed as unshakable as the Himalayas. I was honored to meet him, but felt I had better move on. The next day, I bowed to the leader, asking for blessings to carry on my pilgrimage. The Nagas all raised their tridents and shouted their blessing, "Jai Shankar!" Turning around, I walked alone through the forest path, barefoot. This particular sect of Naga Babas shared a rare camaraderie. Their loyalty to the sect and to each other was real and for life. Wherever they roamed, onlookers often shook with fear, for they were wild, rough, and lived severely, but in their own way, it was all in the search for God. I set out to visit Badrinath, high in the Himalayas. Traditionally, when a man was in the last stage of life, he would trek to Badrinath and never return. But it proved an impossible journey for me, as the paths were impassable due to snow and avalanches. Returning to Rishikesh, I found myself at one of its most prominent ashrams, Swargashram, which, as it turns out, is the place in which The Rudraksha malas that are around your neck, dear Sangi, are from Swargashram. Means the ashram of heaven. Where, to my delight, I was invited to a special feast for all sadhus. All of the sadhus sat on the ground together in lines, one line facing another, to honor the spiritual food or prasad that had been prepared for us. Watching how much these old sadhus could eat on such occasions, I was amazed and promptly followed suit. When we finished, we washed our hands, and many of us lay left side down on the ground, a traditional method for aiding digestion. After resting, I set out to explore the area. While meandering along a footpath, I met with some wealthy pilgrims who were fascinated to see a Western boy living among the sadhus. We spent the rest of the afternoon conversing on a veranda. Toward early evening, a yogi in his late 30s begged for charity, but my hosts ignored him. Irate, he fixed his mind to teach them a good lesson. First, he stood on a chair and reached up to unscrew a glowing light bulb from its socket. Standing before the pilgrims, he crushed the hot bulb with his bare hand. When he opened his fist, he showed us how he had ground it into a fine powder. Amazingly, there was not a trace of blood or a single cut on his hand. And this was only the beginning of his performance. He then poured all the fine glass powder into his mouth and, drinking a cup of Ganga water, swallowed it all. The wealthy pilgrims were astounded. Reaching into their pockets, they each gave him a generous donation and asked if he would show them more of his powers. For his next feat, the yogi went to a nearby construction site to claim a long pole of steel rebar. Covering one eye with a thin patch of cloth, he balanced one end of the metal pole on this eye socket and the other against a wall. Then he slowly walked forward toward the wall. The metal pole bent more and more with each step until he actually reached the wall, bending the two ends of the pole together with his bare eye. Tossing the now U-shaped rod aside, he removed the cloth to reveal an eye that was bright red with irritation, but undamaged. I had seen so many of these powers among yogis, it had become quite ordinary to me. But the pilgrims now lavished more money on him, asking how he gained his powers. While massaging his eye with his palm, he explained, "For 20 years I lived with my guru in a Himalayan cave. Guruji took note that I was using the powers he taught me for prestige and monetary gain. Rejecting me, he exiled me from the ashram and cursed me to go back into society." Dropping the people's money into his cloth pouch, he continued, "Now I am raising money to get married. Having been trained as a yogi, this is the only way I know how to make a living." Although I had been learning from everyone, from Swami Rama, who altered his heartbeat and moved objects with his mind, to my energetic friend who'd materialized the Rudraksha bead, that such feats were not to be revered above simple devotion to God. It wasn't until this moment that I realized mystic powers were not necessarily spiritual at all. Those who were able to counteract the apparent laws of nature had naturally impressed me. So much of what I'd seen seemed miraculous. Now I saw that such feats, unconnected to a meaningful search for God, were truly insubstantial. I was looking for more. The Himalayas had given me much, but I did not yet know what form my own worship would take, and sought to expose myself to the rich variety of worship in India as a whole. The promise of visiting Varanasi, a highly spiritual city praised in Indian literature, and learning more about Buddhism and its practitioners at Bodh Gaya lured me to travel southeast into the plains. I was about to descend from the Himalayas, but I knew I would be back. These 4 months had seemed like a lifetime and had given me much to digest. Returning to my cherished rock in the Ganga, I listened to the river's song. There my Himalayan experiences, flashed across the screen of my mind. There was the sadhu who instructed me to submerge my Western clothes in the river and granted me the robes of a mendicant. The jewels of wisdom I collected while washing the river, offering my harmonica into the Ganga and receiving her sweet song. Swami Chidananda's simplicity and wisdom, Maharishi's blessings and dreams, Tatwala Baba's absorption and meditation, the leper woman's blessing, Kailash Baba's fatherly kindness, Anandamayi Ma's motherly compassion, Balashiva Yogi's yogic powers, the Naga Babas' unique teaching techniques, and the lessons I learned from the rivers, mountains, trees, sky, and wild animals. As I bade farewell to the Himalayan mountains and all of the people there, it seemed as though I had been living in these forests for the better part of my life. Thank you for listening. That is the end of the 6th chapter of the 2nd act of The Journey Home. I hope the reading experience was as mystical for you as it was for me. If you have any insights you want to share, you are welcome to do so. Namaste. That ends our Shravana section, the section dedicated to listening from new perspectives. Now we turn to the Manana section, where we can turn our attentions to whatever we want to discuss in our hearts. I welcome everyone that joined while we were reading. And if you ever want to catch up on these readings, if you're fascinated by the topics, all of these readings are clipped out and put on my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. What a reading! Indeed, dear Usha Priyaji. Thank you for listening, dear Wolfpack. Thank you, dear Kevin. Stevie G, you share between this car ride and the book reading, you feel sleepy. Well, do not be afraid to fall into dream. In fact, if you dream during a Sangha, you get to experience so much more than the physical plane. Happy Valentine's, dear Isabella and brave Bella. Hello, dear Golly. Thank you to those who sent a gift whilst we read. I was going to say a guft. What does guft mean? I don't know. Thank you, Usha Priyaji, for your love painting. May we paint the canvas of the world with a brush of love in our hearts. Om Namo Indraya. Is that how you do the sandhi of Visarga before Ikara? No, I think it would be Om Nama Indraya. Thank you, Roxanne, for your 10 roses. Om Kanjahnavyay Namah. Hello, dear Ari and Zainab. Hello, dear Crown Prince. Thank you, Gentry, for your trio of roses. Om An Saraswatyay Namah. And Aira, thank thank you for your heart me. Jaya Satchitananda. Dearest Brandon, thank you for your septet of roses. Hare Krishna. Goodbye, dear Stevie G. And Majesty, thank you for your heart me. Om Dum Durgaya Namah. Rock Sandwich, thank you for your rosa. Om Som Somaya Namah. Dear Kali, thank you for your heart me. Om Som Suryaya Namah. And Isabella, thank you for your rose. Hare Rama. I'd love to know how you are all feeling at this moment. If you want to share, you are welcome to be a silent listener. Hello to all my silent listeners. Dear Tolkien, you feel like you're in a shop in Legend of Zelda. It's the music. Yes. Hello, weary traveler. What sort of goods may I sell you? Would you like a potion? Another heart crystal? How about some bombs? Dear Sarah, you sure you have had 4 teeth out, so you're in so much pain? Oh, no more wisdom for you. There is a certain tree in nature known as the toothache tree. I imagine with the magic of the internet, you can probably buy a bundle of twigs from the toothache tree on Amazon today. And if you chew on these twigs, they can help relieve that toothache. Hello, dear Lauren. Goodbye, dear brave Bella. Hello, dear Control Forever. Whiskey helps too, shares well. That may be true. Although I don't encourage the drinking of alcohol here. I will say that if you can bear the pain, that is why they're called wisdom teeth. Because wisdom, the greatest wisdom, is always forged through heart-rending experiences. When you see a person and you are able to recognize their wisdom, that is a sign of just how much they've experienced in this life. You can use true suffering as a way to recognize your true nature as the self beyond the body and the mind. I am happy you are happy, dear Anna. Did I ask you something, dear Roxanne? I don't think I did. But I can ask you something. I am wondering what kind of flowers you have in your bouquet arrangement. See you again, dear beloved Raven. I do have a question of the day for you all, however, if you're interested in exploring it with me. Today my question is, what is at the foundation of a relationship? A very fitting question, I find. We might get distracted by possible superficial layers of a relationship when these beautiful days get commodified. But what truly matters most in a relationship? This I'd like to discuss with you. Dear Sarah, you share, you try to meditate through the pain, but when it's in your head, it's hard. Especially if we feel our sense of self up here when we're working with all of our higher chakras. If you can bring your sense of self actually lower, perhaps into your heart, you feel like you're down here, and whatever's happening up there is not so much of a big deal. Or if you can go out of your crown chakra, even better. Now on to some answers to our question of the day. Dear Catherine, you share friendship and laughter. I certainly agree. I see so many people diving into a relationship before they become good friends. But good friendship is absolutely the foundation of anything that you build on top of that. And people take love so seriously. Love is the least serious thing there is. It is that which dissolves the seriousness of our ego. Love is playful. Love is light. Dear Lauren, you share devotion. What a beautiful word, and in Sanskrit it's bhakti, which actually doubles as a word for love. You can say loving devotion, bhakti. Me, myself, and I, you think trust and loyalty. I see the truth in that. Dear Elle, you share communication. Oh, absolutely. If you don't have a vehicle to understand each other, that vehicle being language, how can we possibly respect each other's vulnerability? Wolfpack, you share love, trust, and connection. You're funny, Sky Guardian. Obviously looks. The most important is to have youthful skin and nice hair. Nah. Love transcends the appearance of the other person. Yet, we have to validate all layers of the other's being, from the spiritual, through the mental, emotional, the sensual, all the way to the physical. Oh, I love your answer, dear Anna. Curiosity. Yes, we must remain curious. Never jump to conclusions. Dearest Majesty, thank you for the 99 crystal roses that you sent. Om Ham Namah Shivaya. Michelle, you share friendship too. That is my favorite answer, personally, in my opinion. Dear Usha Priyaji, you share appreciation and trust. Yeah, we have to appreciate the other person, don't we? Gwendolyn Priya, you give lots of wonderful answers. Love, mutual respect, friendship, curiosity, compassion, genuine regard, humor, and chemistry. Hopefully. Yeah. Sarah, you share solidarity. Oh, what a beautiful word that is. And thank you, Jelena, for the rose you sent. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Roxanne, you share honesty and patience. Oh, patience is a great answer to it. Selena, you ask, how to end a very long relationship? It's a good day to think about that too. You have to honor and respect your own boundaries, needs, and wants. Instead of thinking about it in terms of endings, think about it in terms of new beginnings. Love is always love, whether you experience it through another person or yourself. Your relationship and all of its love is continuing. That's not ending. It's only the form in which that love takes, which is transitioning for the moment from another person to your own heart. Dear Gina, thank you for your roses. Hare Krishna. Love is letting go, shares Talkington. I love that. Sky Guardian, you're so mischievous. You share when they get old, you look for new love. You look for the newness in their soul. And don't get so caught up in don't get so caught up in the passing of change and time in the body. You look for the ever freshness of their soul. You echo the sentiment of friendship, dear Isabella. And Iborsa, you share, it is nothing words can capture. That is beautiful. Dear Caleb, your question of the day is, what does it mean to be a mere human on a planet we are not from? You point to two parts of our experience, our Prakṛti and our Puruṣa. Our Prakṛti, our material nature, our humanness, that comes from Mother Earth. And she is our mother. At the level of the body and mind, we have definitely come from her, and she is our home to take care of and love. When it comes to our Puruṣa, our consciousness, you are right, and you know that it does not come from this world. In fact, it does not come from anywhere. It comes from nowhere. But if you just slide the W from where to the no, it becomes now and here. Consciousness is that which pervades this whole universe. You are that, beyond the Prakṛti, beyond the material nature. But our material nature does have a real existence too, and wherever we find ourselves, that is where we have to give the love of our Puruṣa to. And right now that includes Mother Earth. Back to my question of the day, dear Gandalf, you share authenticity. Thank you, Gandalf. Gwendolyn Priya, you add common goals, common values, and yes, devotion. Mr. Driller, thank you for your heart, me too. Brahm Hanumate Namah. Dearest G, Goofy Goosey, you share common values and life goals. I like that. Sustainable futures, you share openness. How can we have a relationship if we are not open? Emotion, shares Lauren. We're emotional beings at the human level, at the level of the divine feminine. Yeah. Happy Valentine's Day, dear Gina. and reciprocity. I love that, Lauren. Thank you, Room to Breathe. And dear Anna Marquez, you share acceptance, always, because we are constantly changing. Yes. If you fall in love with a part of a person that is subject to change, oh, you best be open to fall in love with the whole of the person's changing nature. Hello, dear Spirit 28. Dear Marcia, you share that you're female, 70, and your soulmate is 44, and you've fallen in love. Thank you for sharing that, dear Marcia. Love comes in many forms, indeed. Happy Love Day, dear Miananda. Thank you. Mr. Driller, you had asked how to improve perception. The sharpness of your senses is something that you trade off with the mind. And I'm not saying in general, but I'm saying moment to moment. You can either give your awareness to what's in here or what's out there. If you want to pay more attention, if you want to be acutely aware of what's out there, then empty your mind. And the reverse is true. When you want to be acutely attentive to what's in here, empty yourself of the world. Dear Miananda, you share light-heartedness is the foundation of relationship. I love that. Do not burden your heart with weight. Speaking of the divine feminine, you share trust. And happy Valentine's Day. You love it, you ask. Do we open ourselves? Or have we been opened? You are openness yourself. And everything you give yourself to, you open. Assad, you echo the sentiment of trust. And Noisy Nerd, you share truly knowing and being truly known. Tatastu. Miananda says yes. Please don't hate me when I change my hair color to pink. All colors bring out the rainbow of your heart, dear Miananda. Namaste. Vample, you share willingness to be curious. It's a big one for you. I love that one a lot too. Dear you ask, what's the secret to my clear skin? The secret to my clear skin is TikTok's beauty filter. I think it's doing something. Other than that, I don't put much on my face. I like your question, Talkington. Is there a what's out there? Is there a what's out there? Happy Valentine's Day, dear Katie. Dear Matgiza, you share the point to know what you're celebrating before you celebrate it. For it could have evil intentions behind it. For example, Halloween, Valentine's Day, and Christmas. What matters most, and I see where you're coming from, all of these days are originally spiritual holidays. Of course, Christmas is the Mass of Christ, celebrating the arrival of light in this world, both in a spiritual sense and in a physical sense. And Valentine's Day is really Saint Valentine's Day. And Halloween is really Saint Hallows Eve. All of these originally have spiritual intentions. But over the years, of course, they've been interchanged with various traditions from around the world, and we may have lost some of the religiosity. And through capitalism, these days might have also been commodified in other ways. But what matters most is the intention in our heart. And my intention on this day is to share love. And that's what matters most. Hello, dear Nina. You're wondering if my name Liam is short for William. I was named after a William, but I'm not officially a William. I was named after my grandfather, who was a William. But he spelt it with an I, as does most Williams. Dear Lauren, you ask, if I could be from any planet or celestial body except Earth, what would it be? I would be from the sun. Big hug, dear Isabella. Takes one to know one. You love it. Andrea's fairy footsteps you share. I get younger looking every day. It's the Benjamin Button effect. One of these days I'll be doing these live streams as a baby, and you'll just have to translate all my Google Gagas. Hello, dear Ururi. Hello, Michelle. I do have a sock on my microphone, but what kind of sock? It's a riddle. Bonsoir, dear Ingrid. Well said, dear Sky Guardian. Om Bhur Bhuvaswa Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Thank you, Louis. I am going to pause the question of the day there for now, but I thank you all for exploring it with me. I already said that. For me, I think friendship is the most important foundation. All of your answers are equally valid, but that is the way I would choose to phrase it. And all of those things come with friendship too. And Riri, you would say play is the foundation. I love that. Leela, may our love be like a Leela. Chelsea, you share your husband as your best friend for sure. I love that. Very happy for you both. Dear Melvin, you wonder if I seek truth or feeling. I love your question because it speaks to the dimension of life. In one end of the spectrum, we have the experiences of the senses, feelings, sights, sounds, tastes, smells. But from where does that sensation originate? To whom do these experiences of the world occur? In Sanskrit, the Vishayas, the experiences of the senses. when we climb back into ourself, from the world to our spiritual heart, we find ourselves immersed in truth. That truth is not found in anything that comes to us from the world, but comes from us into the world. Just as Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. And just as one prays to the Lord, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. What is the spiritual, mystical interpretation of this? When we pair these two facts together, if the kingdom of heaven is already within us, and thy will is to be done on earth as it already is in heaven, then this means that we have everything within us already, and thus our duty in the world is to make it a reality. Thank you, dear Harsi, for the heart me that you had sent. Om Mani Padme Hum. And Roxanne, thank you for your rose. Jai Sitaram. Oh, thank you, Andrew. Melvin, you ask about sacrificing feelings for truth. There are some truths that may certainly sacrifice some comfortability, and we may feel uncomfortable coming into contact with such truths. That said, our feelings deserve to be validated too. And if we are feeling upset, sad, angry, afraid, guilty, whatever it may be, we have a duty to attend to those feelings in tandem with the truth. Dear Riri, you like framing it as a duty to be authentic to yourself. Oh, I love that. Well said. This body is a gift from the Holy Mother, and Spirit has miraculously impregnated it. Because this body is a borrowed gift from Mother Earth, we have to give it back eventually. This means, since our goal here is to bring that light of love into this world, that includes bringing that light of love into the part of the world that is our mind and our body. Dear Sky Guardian, you ask, why am I live earlier today? Because I have a date with the divine. I see there is a lively topic of perfection. Oh, how beautifully imperfect this world is. And the reason it is so that the soul, which is perfect, and a part of that perfect source, can bring and breathe a little more perfection into it. The world has its many problems, not due to some mistake, but so that us, as rays of light from that sun-like divinity, may shine into that darkness and illuminate it. I'm happy to have you here, dear Michelle. Dear Andrew, you share that you have an odd question. Well, I don't think it has come through if that's the case. I know there is sometimes a filtering going on by TikTok in which comments come through. If it didn't come through, please feel free to reframe it in another way. I love that, dear Gwendolyn Priya. You believe in reality, what is, which is love, which is God. It's funny how there is the question, does God exist? Because only God exists. When one's third eye is open, their ajna chakra, all appears to be nothing other than the divine itself. Hare Krishna. I love that, dear G-Dak. Both perfect and imperfect is blessed. The perfect is the Puruṣa, the conscious spirit. The imperfect is the Prakṛti, is the material nature. And Prakṛti is perfect in her imperfection, and Puruṣa is imperfect in his perfection. Thank you, dear water wind, for your heartmeat and pair of cheer-you-ups. Om Shri Mahalakshmyai Namah. Dear Andrew, your question is, how would I describe my path as it relates to awareness and purpose? Awareness has no purpose other than to just be, and it does that effortlessly. But this body and this mind were given the purpose to leave Mother Earth better than the way you found it. This means taking care of your body, your mind, your friends, your family, your fellow human beings and earthlings, whether they come in the form of animals, plants, fungi, bacteria, in the form of her oceans, in the form of her rivers, in the form of her mountains, in the form of her grasslands, in the form of her forest, in the form of her deserts, in the form of her coral reefs, in the form of her atmosphere. Our purpose in this generation especially is to bring healing to Mother Earth and all of her inhabitants. Heal from her traumas, heal from her wounds. Bring in light and love of awareness. Hello, dear Jen. Thank you, dear Waterwind, for your heart-me pair of cherry-ups, quintet of rosas, and a GG. Never expected, but always appreciated. Om Namah Karlim Ambita Me Sharin Adita Me Harin Devita Me Aing Sarasvatyai Swaha. And Gina, thank you for your pair of crystal roses and heart me. Om Haram Bhairvaya Namo Namah. I love that, you love it. You see the truth in all of them ways, been everywhere. Every religious has its own tastes. Beautiful. As one of our Sangis, Mermander, had said, all religions are like different accents of God. It's ultimately the same divine communication, but different accents. There's a Christian accent, there's a Buddhist accent, there's a Muslim accent, there's a Jewish accent, there's a Taoist accent, there's a Hindu accent, there's a Sikh accent, there's a Jain accent, there's a Zoroastrian accent, etc. And thank you, dear Rake, for your rose. Vastudevaya Namah. And Neon Jellopak, thank you for your dozen roses. Namo Maya Shaktaye. Josen, do you like it when God goes fish emoji, cow emoji, bird emoji, flower, flower, tree emoji, flower, plant, mushroom emoji, flower, moon, sun, ocean, apple, something, kiwi, broccoli, avocado, carrot emoji? What is fatalistic, dear Andrew? What does that mean? Would you tell me more? Dear Riri, you notice stories like the journey home is usually about a man. What paths do women walk? Well, actually, that's an exception for our Sangha, because the two books before that were almost identical in content, but from a woman's perspective. When we read Moksha, Liberation by Tara Lamond, that was the journey of a woman through her path of suffering. And we also read the autobiography of the wonderful Sadhviji Bhagavati, who told her story in the book Hollywood to the Himalayas. So both the path of women and men in the East are the same. If you wanted to listen to those books, since we read through them fully, they are in playlists on my YouTube channel also. But yeah, everything that applies to the man in the spiritual path equally applies to the woman, because in spirit we are one. Actually, in spirit we are genderless. Sachitananda Atma, the true self, is just consciousness, truth, bliss itself. So on the path of transcending this body and mind, we enter into a genderless or perhaps genderful source. And thank you, Tattvamasi, for your trio of roses. Om Namah Parashaktaye. Dear you love it, you ask, where is my Sangha? My Sangha is in the hearts of all of you, from wherever you are around the world. This heart happens to be in Canada. Dear Michelle, you enjoyed every book so far, but your personal favorite was Roar of the Ganges. Yes. The story of Swami Tadatmananda Ji Saraswati. Well, our world is very dark, dear Andrew. You're not wrong about that. In fact, the most ancient names for the divine is Prithvi Matar. Coming from Proto-Indo-European, Prithvi mother, and Dhyauspitar. Prithvi, mother, means mother of darkness. That is the world. She is the mother of darkness. And the Father, the Holy Spirit, Dhyauspitar, is Father of light. Actually, you've all heard the word Dhyauspitar because it went from Greek to Latin as Zealspiter, which is the name of Zeus. And the grammatical ending, depending on what form it takes in the language, is Zeus. And the full name of Zeus is Zealspiter. When the Romans inherited that, eventually through etymological differences in the telephone, the game of telephone, it became Jupiter. And that still is today one of the names for the celestial bodies up there. The name for the biggest gas giant, Jupiter. But if you follow the etymology all the way back to Dhyauspitar, it means Father of light, Father of the heavens, of the sky. What does this all have to do with the darkness of the world? It's the nature of the world to have problems. Don't think for a second there was a time on earth where there wasn't problems. The purpose of the world is to provide us problems to solve, because we come from Dhyauspitar. We are of the Father of light, here to marry the Mother of darkness, to bring in our love, our nurturing, our healing. It is the purpose of the world to be in conflict, and it is the purpose of our soul to attend to that conflict. If there wasn't conflict in the world, we'd have no purpose of being here. So, in a strange way, though we may never wish suffering on another being, we can be grateful that everyone who is suffering is someone that we can help, someone that we can love, someone that we can nurture. And that is the greatest thing that we could do. The most fulfilling journey in life is the selfless one. Thank you, dear Gwendolyn Priya, for the rose you sent to me. Ram, Ram. And Dob Darker, thank you for your heart name. Om Krim Kali Kai Namah. Lauren, thank you for the quartet of roses you sent. Om Namah Prajapataye. Josan, thank you for your blooming ribbons, a dancing flower, a pair of tiny diamonds, and a pair of roses too. Om Yam Hrdaya Kashaya Namah. Hello, Eepy Sleepy Kitty. So kind of you, Lauren, for your roses. Where's my Manjira? Where's my Jira Man? You're there. That's for you. Our purpose is love. Dear Jordan, you ask, how do we free ourselves of Christian fear or guilt programming in our unconscious? That is a great question. Speaking of games of telephone, the spirit of the Christian tradition has been lost on many in modern times. And don't get me wrong, it is a completely valid path that will take you all the way from the Son to the Father. It is just as valid as any religion. But we do face a lot of difficulties with how it's interpreted today. Some of it's just an evolution of language. For example, fear didn't mean the same thing 100 years ago than it did today. I'm talking about the word fear. Today, if you say that you fear something, it means that you're scared of it. It means that you worry about being hurt by it or losing something from it. But 100 years ago, the English word fear actually meant something completely different. When we say we feared something, like fearing God, it's a way of having awe, a way of having respect, a way of understanding that your place is to surrender. And surrender is also one of those words that has gained such baggage to it. Surrender doesn't mean give up. It doesn't mean lose your individuality. In this case, it means dissolving your essence into, becoming one with. Because the words have stayed, but the sentiment has been lost, a new sentiment pervades the same words, which is one of control. And unfortunately, any powerful tool can be one that's used both for creation and for destruction. The greatest way to reprogram your understanding of any tradition is to assume an interpretation of love. Because if there's any interpretation other than love, then it doesn't come from God. Because God is love. And if God is love, anything that appears to hide or mask that love is our responsibility as humans to take accountability for. The reason that God came as the Christ in the Christian tradition is to show us of the divinity inherent in our humanity. That the Christ was limited to the same restrictions that we have physically, and yet was able to channel that divinity, to perform miracles, to heal, to show unconditional love and forgiveness. That is a sign that we have that capacity within ourselves too. That is the Christ consciousness. When we rise from our crosses that the world projects on us. When we can say to everyone in our life, including, ironically, the Christians, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do," then we can be Christ-like. But nobody can be Jesus. Jesus is something completely different. He was unique. Not all of us are going to have a religion form around us, but we all can be Christ-like. Jesus is an avatar, which is the Sanskrit word for a descension. It's actually made its way into English as avatar. Avatar literally means the descension. Like if you wanted to say, I descend, you say, avatarami. Avatara means descension. In the East, there's a huge philosophy surrounding how exactly the divine descends from Brahman, the Holy Spirit, through Paramatma, the Father, and as Bhagwan, the Son. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I descend age after age to usher in dharma, righteous duty. You like my little, what's it called, a brooch? Dear Mercy. So Mariham, you asked for clarifications on fear, scared. What's the difference? In less modern times, fear was not a negative thing. It was used more for the sense of having awe. It's actually very similar to the sense of fearsome and awesome. Awesome means you're full of awe. You've got some awe. Fearsome means you've got some fear. Nowadays it's used in, I'm scared. But in less modern times, fear was a kind of reverential word. But the meaning has changed. It does take practice to read without judgment, dear Becca. But I read the Bible very, very simply. My method of understanding, and this is true for the Bible as it is true for any other scripture. If you crack open a verse, is this verse one that makes me full of love and peace and wholeness? If so, then I imbibe it in my heart. If this verse does not speak of love and wholeness and peace, then I move on. I just move it. Just like skipping a question in a test. When you're taking a test and you don't understand the question, just move on. But also everything that you need is already written in your heart. Dear Lexi Love, you're wondering if I know anything about Satanism, specifically Anton LaVey, and what my perspective is on it. No, I've never heard of this person, if it's a person. I do know that most Satanism actually isn't like it's not something that's actually evil. It's a counterculture movement to protest the dogma of the church. It's kind of like a FU in a sense. But Satanists don't actually worship Satan. What they do is they protest the trappings of religion. And they do so in a way that purposefully infuriates people who are trapped in their own religion. It is kind of like a pushing your buttons, like, oh, you're scared that I'm a devil worshipper. Okay, to prove you right, I'm going to do exactly what you're afraid of. Just as a kind of FU. And it's actually usually a really loving community. People who are together, have suffered under the trappings of religion, and they heal their trauma. And there's all sorts of humanitarian rights and charities that they are part of. I'm not a part of any of that, but I do know that they do good work, which is the most ironic thing, isn't it? But that's about the extent of my know. I have no direct experience with that. Yes, I recognize your name, E.P. Sleepy Kitty. As far as I understand, when we mystically interpret the concept of the devil, it's a metaphor for our chasing of material senses and pleasures. That it's a personification of all of our selfish traits, our lust, our anger, our avarice, our jealousy, our greed, our power-seeking tendencies. And similarly, God represents all of our selfless qualities, our love, our empathy, our patience, our understanding, our inclusivity, things like that. Thank you, dear Isabella, for your friendship necklace. Ashvinibhyam Namah. I do have Rudraksha beads on my tie, dear Marcy. That's a good spot. I also have them in my hair today. Tattvamasi, you'd like to explore the topic of surrender while not giving up individuality. Yeah, we have a personality. We have a God-given personality, in fact. Even Advaita Vedanta is not impersonalism in the sense of removing your personality, because all of the great gurus have their own unique personalities. They may be established in Nirguna Brahman, but the reality of the material world is still a phenomenal experience of theirs. When we speak of surrendering to the divine, just as we were talking about as the divine, as the abode of love, of empathy, of understanding, of all of our selfless qualities, that's what it means. Is we surrender our selfish qualities, which have been incorrectly incorporated in our personality, and cultivate a personality of purely love and empathy and understanding. And that includes humor. Humor is divine. Doesn't mean that you become a brick. You become like a stick. All of the great gurus that know how to crack a joke too. Dear Neangelo Pack, you ask, can nihilism or atheism be congruent with spirituality and religion? If you're saying that what atheism is to religion as nihilism is to spirituality, then I see the connection there. If you're talking about, is there a valid truth in nihilism and atheism? Absolutely. In fact, even though I'm a devotee of God, I also consider myself an atheist. Why? Because an atheist rejects the ideas of dogma. An atheist says, I've never seen a man in the sky. I've never seen an old white man in the sky who's throwing thunderbolts at people and smiting people for not bowing to him. An atheist says, that's no God of mine. An atheist says, I refuse to believe in a God that doesn't aid with the suffering in this world. So, if that's what it means to be an atheist, then you can call me an atheist too, because I don't believe in any of that. And if nihilism means that there's an inherent lack of meaning in the world, then you can call me a nihilist too. Because meaning is not found in the world. It's found within us. And we are not of this world. And yes, it's true. Holy scriptures can be tampered with by humans, dear Waterwind. And the easiest way to check if it's been tampered with is exactly that test. Is this verse full of love? Then you know it's a divine, because all love is divine. If this verse speaks on anything selfish, then it's not divine, because only we are selfish. The divine isn't. You can imagine yourself in my suit pocket, dear Michelle. Dear Eepy Sleepy Kitty, you ask, what made me decide on my username Yam? Well, it's my name. If you add the letter L to the front, that's my given name, Liam. Dear G-Duck, you ask, what is the oldest religion according to my teachings? The oldest religion is our humanity. It's been around as long as we are. Scholars say there's a couple different perspectives on what the oldest religions are. There's kind of two answers that the scholars tell us. There's animalism, because the oldest artifacts we have are deifying animals, like in the Pashupati seal of the Indus Valley civilization, and of course in the animalism of the Nile and ancient Egypt. That and fertility cults appear to be, according to the historical method, the origin of religion. And I see the truth in both of these things. That if you're an early human or an early member of civilization and you're wanting to express reverence for what this all means, you'd look to Pashupati, the Lord of all of life. You know, what it means to be alive for you is to be a part of this kingdom of plants and animals. I know there are multiple kingdoms of life, but the greater empire of plants and animals, etc. And so to you, the divine is a manifestation of animals. Or you see the miracle of creating more life, fertility, and so you see that interaction itself as divine. That makes sense to the caveman in me. Well, thank you, Becca. I am always happy. It is my essential nature. Hello, dear Jantig. Yes, there's always room for rationality, dear Becca. Hare Krishna. Right? My atheism really sparked my spiritual journey. Aw, thank you, Neon Jello Pack. Thank you, Jandik, for your heart moon. And welcome, that's all, folks. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Dear Sky Guardian, you share sometimes you feel I'm creating my own Yam Vedanta. Dear Sky Guardian, you share sometimes you feel I'm creating my own Yam Vedanta. Now my internet disconnected me for a moment. If my connection has returned, please let me know. We're back? Okay. Yeah, we'll call it Yam Danta, Sky Guardian. Or Yamanta, which would actually be a good name because Yama is the personification of death and Anta means the end of. So Yamanta means the end of death in one sense. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ji. Dear Jandig, you ask, isn't it called animism? No, animism is something different but similar to animalism. Animalism is the reverence of animals as divine and a personification of God as the Lord of all animals, Pashupati in Sanskrit. Animism, I believe, is the belief in the divine as pervading, as what animates everything. What animates not just the life force in life, in humans, animals, but also the breeze, the movement of the moon and sun, weather patterns, fire, the tides, rivers, etc. Animism is kind of the generalization of animalism. And you can see how animism may have evolved from animalism. Hello, dear Rosé. Is that an I, a capital I at the beginning of your name, or a lowercase l? I think it's an L. Loni Rosé. Dear Jitak, you share sang means blood in French. Oh, how interesting. Like, blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. In Sanskrit, sangha means association. It means community. It means a gathering. Sky Guardian, you share what I teach isn't fully in line with Advaita nor Dvaita. From your perspective, it might not be, but I see the truth in my words as reflective in both Advaita and Dvaita. Dear Riri, you share you used to be an atheist too. Looking back, you've always been seeking and on this path without knowing. Oh yeah. Atheists make the best spiritual seekers because they don't get lost in the dogma. They don't fall into the trappings of religion so easily. They really know how to find God. Dear strange girl, bone collector, you share you have a real hard time around atheists. They aren't spiritual for you. We were talking about atheists a few minutes ago and what it really means to be an atheist. It's all about how you approach them. If an atheist feels threatened, they'll often be on the defensive mode. They're kind of like a porcupine in that way. That a porcupine is going to be all prickly if they sense danger. And their danger is the sense of dogma, the sense of religious trappings. The moment their dogma senses go up, all the prickles come up. But if you showed them love, if you showed them that true spirituality actually validates them, and that their sense of dogma is their compass on the spiritual path, I guarantee they will show you their underbelly and you can go, coochie 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 coo. And the atheist will go, hee hee ha hee hoo ha. Because everyone is right in their perspective. An atheist says, I don't believe that life's all about worshipping God and being commanded by some ancient book written by people in the Iron Age. And you can affirm them. I agree. They say we should be solving the real important questions about the crises in our humanity, about ending wars, about letting go of our differences. And you can affirm them and say, I agree. Atheist says, I've never seen anything in this existence that speaks to be God. You can say, I agree. Affirm them of that. For truly, the spiritual quest is not about following orders, not about going by tradition, not about blind faith. It's about trusting your heart. It's about discovering the truth in your own experience. It is about serving others. It is about finding common ground and the universal consciousness that pervades it. It is about bringing more harmony into this world. So, if that's what it means to be spiritual, and that's what the atheists say, then the atheists are secretly spiritual. They just don't know it. That's why I still call myself one. Because that's all I said when I was an atheist, and I haven't changed in that. I've only gained another perspective. I've never lost any perspectives, only become more well-rounded. Thank you, dear Reina Priyaji, for your rosa. Om Bharam Bhairvai Namo Namah. Artistic, holistic, thank you for your rose. Hare Krishna. Dear Daniel is bored, you ask, what if our minds conjure up God because we can't believe that we exist in a void? Sounds a lot like the Big Bang. Sounds a lot like God's own experience with himself as the void, that he cannot bear to be this zero-dimensional singularity. And so, in the mind of the Creator, this world of forms is born. Strange girl, you ask, so have I never seen a spirit? I have seen many forms. I have seen a world that comes and goes through sights and sounds, through tastes and smells and feelings. And all of it is pervaded by spirit, but spirit itself is like wind. We can only see the effect the wind has on other things, but we cannot see the wind itself. You know wind is there because the flag is moving. So too, spirit, being the formless background, nirguna it's called in Sanskrit, without form. It is what serves as the foundation for all form to arise. That nothingness in combination of itself, like a rock carved out unto itself to reveal form, so that void appears as the manifold expression. But none of it in particular is spirit. You are that spirit. The seer cannot be the seen. That which sees all cannot be seen. That which hears all cannot be heard. That which knows all cannot be known. Hello, Big Stevie C. Welcome. Thank you, dear Roxanne, for your hand hearts. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I think it's time for another episode of, wait for it, ruminations. That's right, dear G. Oh, let's read some mystical poetry, shall we? Here we are in the pocket roomie, still listening from selections from Matanawi. This poem's called Drowned in God. Let's drown ourselves in this poetry. Damn the torrent of ecstasy when it runs in flood, so that it won't bring shame and ruin. But why should I fear ruin? Under the ruin waits a royal treasure. They who are drowned in God wish to be more drowned, while their spirit is tossed up and down by the waves of the sea. They ask, is the bottom of the sea more delightful, or the top? Is the beloved's arrow more fascinating, or the shield? O heart, if you recognize any difference between joy and sorrow, these lies will tear you apart. Although your desire tastes sweet, doesn't the beloved desire you to be desireless? The life of lovers is in death. You will not win the beloved's heart unless you lose your own. That poem's called Drowned in God. Let's read another one, shall we? This poem's called Flattery. The world's flattery and hypocrisy is a sweet morsel. Eat less of it, for it is full of fire. Its fire is hidden, while its taste is manifest, but its smoke becomes visible in the end. And one more poem, shall we? Oh, the sweet spiritual romance of the Sufis. This poem is called Counting Out Gold Coins. God gave me a life, the value of every single day. He alone knows. I have spent my life, breath by breath, singing my songs, so consumed by the melody and beat, I forgot the moment of bitter departure. While I sang my fluid tunes, the seed of my heart dried up, the caravan passed, the day grew late. O God, help me against the self of mine that is seeking help from you. I seek justice from no one, but from this justice-seeking self. I shall not get justice from anyone except from you, who is nearer to me than myself, for this I-ness comes moment by moment from you, and when it no longer remains, I see only you, counting out gold coins, and I forget myself, because I cannot take my eyes off of you. Oh, just one more because I can't help myself. This poem is called Surrender. It suits the generous man to give money, but truly the generosity of the lover is to surrender his soul. If you give bread for God's sake, you will be given bread in return. If you give your life for God's sake, you will be given life in return. Okay, maybe another one. I just can't, they're just so delectable. It's Valentine's Day. We gotta read a lot of them. This poem is called Woman is a ray of God. Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Woman prevails over the wise and intelligent, while only the ignorant try to dominate over her. They lack tenderness and affection because their animality prevails. Love and gentleness are human qualities. Aggressiveness and lust are bestial. Woman is a ray of God. She is not that earthly beloved. You could say she is creative, not created." And okay, the real last poem this time. This poem is called The Gift of Lovers. If a spiritual explanation alone were sufficient, the creation of the world would have been in vain and pointless. If love were only spiritual, these practices of fasting and worship would not exist. The gifts of lovers to one another are, in respect to love, nothing but forms, yet they testify to an invisible love. So hear it from Rumi. On this Valentine's Day, which may be full of form, that form is never a substitute for the spiritual, and that spiritual has become into being, as it is before us now, as the gift between lovers. Thank you for listening. This has been another episode of Ruminations. I'll go back to Manana. Thank you, dear strange girl, for the rose you sent. Tam Namaschandraya. Rumi has softened your soul yet again, shares Goofy Goosey. Thank you, dear Lena, for your pair of roses. Radhe, oh Radhe. And Roxy, thank you for your rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dearest Miyananda, you ask, what if one of the lovers are ignorant? Is the gift still there? Well, at least one of us has to play the dunce. Don't we? Who is the fool? I hope to be the fool, so that my lover may teach me many things. There was a question from Reina Priyaji. You're wondering about the negative parts of justice. Is that the question? Or is there another one that didn't come through, that I didn't see? What is the negative aspects of justice? What are the limitations, the pitfalls of justice? No justice, no peace. But also, no peace, no justice. What does that mean? Well, you already understand, no justice, no peace. There can be no peaceful society without justice. But the other way around is also true. No peace, no justice. This means if we are not peaceful, then our justice will not bring more peace into this world. How are we going to bring more peace into this world if we don't act from a place of peace? If you're going to paint your wall blue, you must dip from a bucket full of blue paint. You cannot have an empty bucket of blue paint and scream at the wall, "You must become blue." The wall isn't going to turn itself blue. The blue paint has to come from somewhere. It must come from a bucket full of blue paint. So too, we cannot scream at the world with an absence of peace within ourselves for the world to become peaceful for us. So too, that peace has to come from somewhere, and it must come from us who are full of peace. That is why it is never selfish to work on your own peace, because without peace, we cannot truly be much help to the world. We can only take what's inside and bring it out. If what's inside is anger, we will only add anger to the world. If what's inside is fear, then we'll only add fear to the world. But if what's inside is truly love, it's truly bliss, it's truly peace, then we will add true love, true bliss, true peace. Thank you, Arthur, for the quintet of tiny that you sent. Yippee! And dearest Shakira, thank you for your heart me and tiny dino. Yahoo! And Reina Priyaji, thank you for your rosa. Dum Durgay Namah. Dear Becca, you ask, what about those that use anger to purvey justice? Perhaps 1% of those who use anger are doing so in a way that truly empowers others. And if you can do that, then you'll be that 1 in 100. That is the highest purpose of anger, is to set boundaries for those who cannot set them themselves. You echo the voice of the vulnerable. But anything with the power to uphold boundaries is a double-edged sword, because it also must carry the boundary, or the ability to cross boundaries. That which can uphold boundaries can also cross boundaries. So we have to be very skilled not to use one side of the blade to cut another, only to uphold our own boundaries. It can be a purposeful emotion, indeed. But if that anger comes from a place of wanting to hurt others, that is never justice. If you have been brought down to here, do not think that your duty is then to bring the other person down to here. Because if that's our sense of justice, then all we'll be doing in our society is pulling ourselves lower and lower. What's actually happened is that you were up here, and that another person dragged you down to their level. And what you should do is grab them by the hand and pull them back up to your level together. In that way, our sense of justice is not to punish in order to create equilibrium, but to empower in order to create equilibrium. That is to say, instead of thinking about what you can take away from someone, think about what you can give to another person so that they're empowered. And that's what anger can do. Anger can empower those that you are fighting for, like a mama bear. She empowers her children by showing them how to stand up for themselves. And when her children are old enough, wise enough, strong enough to do so for themselves, then the anger has served its purpose and it may quell. Thank you, Gina, for your pair of crystal roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear Arya, you ask, doesn't hurting the evil bring justice? What is the evil, if not hurt itself? If our goal is to dissolve evil, and we do so by adding pain to the world, does that lessen the power of evil or add more strength to it? You see, a person does not truly act out of malice. They act out of trauma. Some people's traumatic mechanism is to create an offensive set of tactics to keep other people at bay so that they don't have to control themselves. They feel a lack of control within themselves, so they try to inflict control on others. We have to heal those who are evil, because only through love can love be created in the world, and only through pain is more pain created. Just like the analogy of painting a blue wall. If we want to paint it blue, we have to draw from the bucket of blue paint. We cannot expect to dip our brush in a bucket of red paint and see the wall turning blue. If we dip our brush in red paint, the wall will become red too. So if we want to add to this world healing, love, comfort, then that means we have to act from a place of healing, from love, from comfort. Another perspective that might make more sense is think about yourself. Have you ever truly changed your behavior by someone hurting you? Did you have a genuine and inspiring transformation take place by someone hurting you? I don't know about you, but the people that have hurt me in life have not made me a better person. Even if I was doing something unkind to others, when others showed unkindness to me, I didn't get any kinder. I might have been more afraid, and I might have repressed those parts of me, and then they got built up and then came out in an even more negative way later. What I am grateful for is the people in my life that showed me kindness, empathy, and understanding, and they didn't judge me when I was acting unkind. And then my heart just opened, and I cried, and I realized my mistakes, that I was transformed through the power of love, not hate. Thank you, dear Reina Priyaji, for your finger heart. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Dear Becca, you share the people that have hurt you have taught you about the human condition you feel. Absolutely. There is a lesson to be found in every experience by our own choice. We can use our own suffering as a way that connects us to our empathy, but we would never wish to inflict suffering on another, because our ability to have grown from that experience is our own personal choice. And another person may not have the capacity like we do to choose to benefit from such an experience. Love, on the other hand, is unconditional. And you do not have to choose to grow by love. Love will naturally grow you. Dear Josan, you ask, will spending time with Shiva at temple help heal your religious trauma? Maybe. It depends who runs the Shiva temple. Yes, the East often has a much more inclusive worldview when it comes to their religion. But that doesn't mean that there is any shortage of religious trauma in any part of the world. You can get traumatized from Hinduism as you may get traumatized from Christianity or any other form. What matters most is that you find a place that accepts you unconditionally. And such places exist, both for Christians and for Hindus alike. Thank you, dear Ururi, for your subscription. Namah Karlim Pitame Shurring Ditame Harim Devitame Ain Saraswatyai Swaha. Dear Steph, you share, you're in a place where you've cried so much, you can't seem to cry right now and it feels wrong. Crying is a beautiful thing. There are many ways to express how you feel. If you can cry, that's great. If you can't cry, no bother. Maybe you'd like to draw. Maybe you'd like to rest, take a nap. Maybe you'd like to dance. Maybe you'd like to sing. Go for a drive. Lots of different things you can do. I love that vocal harmony part of the track, dear Magdalene, as well. I will say, Josan, that spending time with Shiva will heal your religious trauma, regardless of whether you're in a temple or not. Dear Macy, you ask, what if you show someone kindness when they are rude, and then they continue to be rude to you? Then you've done all that you can do, and they're no longer someone who has opened themselves to you. So why should you expect to open in return? If you open your heart, you show kindness, and it's not received, you've done enough. They've now excluded themselves from your life. Spending any more time with them is now self-harm. Because if you consciously choose to be with someone that hurts you, then you are now responsible for that. If you have the ability to walk away, to set a boundary, but don't, why are you doing that to yourself? Love yourself by walking away. What if they're your teacher and you have to spend time with them? You don't have to spend time with anyone that's rude to you. If they're your teacher but aren't kind to you, then they're no teacher. Krishna says very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita, I think it's the 3rd chapter, the 27th verse, if I'm not mistaken, that the wise never disturb the minds of the ignorant. Sorry, not the 27th verse. Somewhere in the 3rd chapter, I believe. My apologies. I would love to find you that verse. It's the 26th verse of the 3rd chapter. I was one verse ahead. That's right. Thank you for your patience. The 26th verse of the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita begins with the divine saying, Na buddhi bhedham janayed ajnanam, which says, the wise do not disturb the minds of the ignorant. In other words, if anyone disturbs your mind, they're not wise. Now, you can disturb your own mind. That's something we also have to distinguish. Are they truly disturbing my mind, or is my mind already disturbed? But if we were feeling peaceful already, and someone comes and disturbs our peace, I don't care how true what they're saying is. If they've disturbed the peace of your mind, then they are not wise. And don't take my word for it. This is Krishna speaking. He's Yogeshwara. He's the Lord of Yoga. That includes Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. I like that, Becca. If you have to be in their presence, however, just remember you don't have to go out of your way for them. Indeed. Love yourself by walking away. It's a good thing to remember, Usha Priyaji. Do the bare minimum and keep your mental health/sanity intact. Yes, please. Tatvamasi, you share that Ramana Maharshi says, the thought I is the root of all thought. Can we explore where it comes from? I had a feeling you were going to ask this today. Speaking of verses from the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna expounds. I don't think I'm going to find that verse right now, but that Akasha... No, sorry, it starts Prithvi, earth, comes from Apas, water, which comes from Tejas, fire, which comes from Vayu, air, which comes from Akasha, space, which comes from Manas, mind, which comes from Buddhi, intellect, which comes from Ahankara, the I thought, which comes from Chitta, the memory, the impressions, the sanskaras. And where does that come from? That comes from Krishna. It comes from Atma. So it's the second descension of self. The self descends first as that which can be impressed upon. What did our lives just get restricted for? Themes that some may find uncomfortable. Alright, fair enough. I must not be wise if I've created discomfort in the minds of the ignorant. I must not be wise. The self first becomes that which can be impressed upon, the chitta. From chit to chitta, from consciousness to that consciousness that can come with latent impressions in it, like the cosmic microwave background. And then from those latent impressions arises the ahankara, the sense of self. From the sense of self arises the buddhi, the sense of viveka, discrimination. And then from that arises the manas, the mind, the sense of thought. How do the impressions create the sense of self, the I thought? Well, we are shaped by our experiences, aren't we? Someone has a very traumatic memory of feeling like they're not enough. They can grow up holding on to that as their identity. Just through that impression that's been made on them, they can feel, I am not enough. And it becomes part of their I thought, like an echo resounding at the back of the mind. I am not enough. I am not enough. I am not enough. Likewise, if someone has a very empowering impression, if one can be impressed upon in such a way that leaves them feeling, I am enough, that can be part of their ahankara too, resounding at the back of their mind. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. So if you want to shape your sense of self, become impressionable by positive sources. Open your heart to positive places, people, and things. Turn off the news that are only giving you negative impressions. Listen to the stories of great people that have survived their difficulties. Surround yourself by people that affirm you of your worth. Listen to holy discourses. Read spiritual scripture. And ignore any verse that speaks to anything which is not loving, harmonious, and whatnot. I was drawing from my experience watching Inside Out 2, Josa, and you're right. Thank you, Tatwamasi, for your subscription too. Nice to have you here, as always. Jaya Anandamaima. And MJ, thank you for your subscription also. Ham Jom Sa Bhuvaswa Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Swa Bhuva Bhum Sah Jom Ham Om. So you would like to explore that from a practical perspective, tatvamasi. Yeah. As we said, from a practical perspective, this means associating with satsanga. A one-word answer to your question is satsanga. Thank you, Dancing Barefoot. Welcome, Rad Suradi. Oh, but what kind of sock is this? That is the question. Do I do birthday parties? Asked Rad's Radi. Can you hire me like a clown? I'll have to really work on my balloon animals. I don't know how to make any. I can make a worm. Yeah, I can make you a good balloon worm. I can also do snakes and feetless lizards and eels, caterpillars. I'm really good at all of those balloon animals. Thank you, dear Lena, for your rose. Song Surya Namah. Thank you, Dancing Aurora Borealis. Much love, finding bliss. Moment of silence. Oh, Lauren, I did see your question. Thank you for asking this again. How do you deal with rejection or the anticipation of rejection? Assume you've already got it. Because in a way you have. If you're asking for something, the default is you don't already have it. So there's your no. Before you even ask, there's your no. The worst that could happen is that nothing changes when it comes to that no. When in doubt, the default is nope. That is what the silence tells us. It's the same thing with the discussion of consent we had yesterday, is that unless expressed, the answer is no. Right? So if you're anticipating the no, then you don't have to, given that you already have the no. Something more could only be added to that. If you don't ask, the answer will be no. Yes. Exactly. I love that observation, Roxanne. Jim Carrey is very wise, indeed. Your mom was like, no thanks, she has a phobia of snakes and worms. Oh, that's right, you were telling me. But she likes Shiva's Naga. I heard a beautiful perspective from a psychologist the other day that kinds of traumas that manifest in forms, in ways where you're scared of something happening again. Like when you're scared of getting re-traumatized, so many of our fears are actually based in the fact that they've already happened. Which makes sense. When you put it like that, it's obvious, right? But there's something so beautifully obvious that's right in front of us that we're not seeing, which is what you're afraid of has already happened. You've already gone through that. You're already on the other side of what it is that you fear. Something in the past has become projected into the future. So we feel like now we're stuck in the past to an inevitable fate. But actually, you're in the future of your trauma. You've already survived it. I thought that was very powerful. And so simple, right? Dear Heidi, you were saying something about something being full of Himalayan art, Buddhist traditions only online now. I think if there was a first part of this comment, I don't see it. It might not have come through. Did you receive your subscription from someone else? Dear Tatomasi? Maybe you, Riri, and MJ did. Whoever they did, I think they did so anonymously. Sometimes I get notified of who gives the gift of subscription, but I didn't this time. Dear Billy, you ask, what about a feeling of rejection? Like when you bring food to a party and no one eats it, so you feel rejected. Well, if you brought that food, you must probably like it too. Therefore, more to yourself. If no one eats your party food, even better. That means you get to chow down without having to worry about sharing it. I think you can generalize that to many forms of rejection too. That when you want to share something that's meaningful to you and you're unable to share it, yes, you can grieve the loss of being able to share it. But you don't grieve the fact that you had something worth sharing to begin with. That's still yours. The truly knowledgeable are never saddened when those around them don't quite get their understanding, because they still get to enjoy their own understanding. You may be unable to share your bliss, but it's still your bliss. I like where G went with that question. You just weren't at the right party. Yeah. We are listening to Saraswati's Sitar Symphony. And I actually don't listen to any music regularly, but I put it on for you. I think it would be a lot of a different experience without any music. If it was just... It's just not the same. But if you add the... Suddenly it's a whole atmosphere. Heidi, I like the way you take that. When coworkers overshare all of their vacay photos. Right? There comes a balance. Why don't they share the joy they had through how they treat others? If you truly gain so much joy from your experience, then bring that joy in terms of kindness, in terms of hospitality, in terms of empathy, understanding, etc. Well, thank you, dear Shri Hasya Chitrakar. I'm glad that we could do a Valentine's Day special today. Gives me a good excuse to wear my heart shirt. I don't know if you can see it, by the way, but my shirt actually has lots of hearts on it. Little millions of little tiny hearts, all in a triangular lattice. Thank you, dear Roxanne, for your star. What's the word for star in Sanskrit? Is it Jyotisha? I know that's astrology. Sitara? Sitara. Google Translate says nakshatra. Nakshatra. So a mantra for the stars would be Om Namo Nakshatraya. There's names of many stars. Rohini, the name of Aldebaran. Aldebaran? I don't know how to pronounce that. Kritika, the old name of the Pleiades, Kritika. And the planets are called grahas, to grasp or to be grasped. That makes sense. With the fifth yama, aparigraha, non-grasping. Shri Hasya Chitraka, you're wondering, what did my mom bake for Valentine's Day? I don't know if she did bake anything. She is with her lover right now. Or if she is baking something right now, it's by the power of your siddhis that I'm not aware of. Dear Billy, you share your content celebrating yourself today now that your marriage dissolved. Your marriage didn't dissolve. Your legal marriage may have. But marriage is not between you and another person. It is between you and yourself. And another person may bring you in harmony with the tune of your own soul. But ultimately, it's our own energies marrying each other. And so precisely today is the day you celebrate that inner marriage. The marriage of the twin flames. I wonder if graha shares a similar etymology to the word home in Sanskrit. Indeed it does. Both graha, meaning possession, that which can be grasped, share a common etymology with grihasta, which means a householder, since griha means home. Both derive from the verbal root grh, which means to own. So the name for the planets, therefore, can also be interpreted as homes, the many homes, Earth being one of them. Thank you, Marcy, for your heart name. Thank you for your blessings to my mother, dear Usha Priyaji. Perhaps I did from the last time you saw me, dear Billy. But it's the same soul. Hello, dear Cece. And that's true astrologically as well, dear Lauren. Thank you, Billy. Well, I have been enjoying the Sangha so far. I'm very grateful for it. I think I may bring the Sangha to a close over the next 30 minutes or so, or transition into our final segment of Nididhyasana before we go. We are drinking white wine indeed, dear Cece. We're drinking Carl Jung de-alcoholized. That's a tough word to say apparently, because I actually don't drink. I stopped drinking when I turned legal age. I drank all throughout my years as a teenager. And since I turned 19, which is the legal drinking age where I live, I stopped drinking. I did it in reverse. I drank enough alcohol in my teens to serve the rest of my life. Shriyasya Chitrakara. You ask, does that imply that it had alcohol at one point and then they took it out? I think it does imply that. Yes. You did the same, Marcy. It wasn't thrilling enough anymore. No, it wasn't. In fact, I started to appreciate the state of consciousness of being sober as the most intoxicating of all states. Nothing like the intoxicating bliss of higher consciousness. It's like juice with extra stuffs then, that's right, Bubbles. Dear Cece, you ask, how do I feel about the fact that alcohol makes you open for demonic spirits? I choose to see demonic spirits as metaphors for exactly the kinds of things that substances may mask or bring out or try to hide. To me, there's no such thing as any actual demonic entities. It's a flavor of poetic truth written in our scriptures. But there's something very real about what they represent. It represents anger, greed, jealousy, hatred, and alcohol can definitely be something that triggers these things or tries to drown them. You can try to drown your sorrows, but these sorrows swim. No matter how much you drink, it will never resolve that trauma that must be healed sober. Whatever we are suffering from, that we are trying to mask by these substances, they can only be healed once we put down the bottom. And thank you, Jason, for your subscription too. Dear Rad, you ask, how do I feel about the paradox of tolerance? You've been struggling with it lately. The paradox that we should tolerate everybody, but we cannot tolerate intolerance. Yeah. I think on the surface it appears to be a paradox. But actually what would be a paradox is if we tolerated intolerance. Because then we are indirectly responsible for inviting intolerance into our shared space. If our goal is to be inclusive to everybody, but somebody in that group is excluding others or making others feel excluded, then the least harm, the ahimsa thing to do, would be to set a boundary there. Now, is that a paradox because we've now excluded someone? No. We want them to be there, but we want them to be there as they want everyone else to be there too. If they are excluding another person, then they've excluded themselves, ultimately. If we ever have to set a boundary with someone, it's actually because they've already excluded themselves. They've shown that they can't be a part of this space. So the best thing to do is wish them well in what space they can be a part of. Thank you, Katie, for your rose. Dear Anne-Liv, you ask, who am I? I am nobody, really. I am a silly goose by nature. Wow, I didn't have my earbuds fully in, but now that they are, whew, it's like the audio became so much more clear. I like that Tattvamasi. If one can create ash out of thin air, then what could be impossible? If one can create everything from nothing, oh, that nothing is impossible. If one can make possible everything from nothing, that nothingness must be impossible. But if everything were equally possible, you'd get a mess, shares Shrihasya Chitrakar. Indeed. And that is why we have time. We experience time so that the infinitude of this moment can express itself in many more ways than just one. Dear Anne, you share, I look like an angel. Oh, don't let me fool you. Now, let us begin our final segment of our Sangha, our Nididhyasana. I think it's fitting that we end our Sangha with a meditation. If you are interested in doing a meditation, tonight will be Valentine's Day themed. Today our meditation will be mantra japa, which is the recitation of holy syllables. Our mantra today comes from the Kamika Agama, an ancient scripture from the indigenous people of India, who describe the meaning and symbolism of every sound. To them, the sound ma represented love. It is a sound that by itself has the ability known as Sarva Jaya Prada, which is to bestow all victories. So I've called it the all-winning love mantra, but I've actually kind of undersold it. It's a syllable of love, and that love grants success in all things, rather than just success in love. A little clickbait there. One form of the divine as love is known as Madana in Sanskrit. This mantra, Madanaya Namah, means salutations to the form of the divine as love. And we preface it with two bijas, two seeds. We have the cosmic bija, and then of course we have our love bija, I only have a few notes of pronunciation. The O and the A, these are long. The M with a dot under it is a nasalization, known as the sacred Anuswara. It's at the end of the bijas. You chant it by bringing your place of resonance into your nasal cavity. That's the sacred sound. The complement of the Anuswara is the Visarga, which is at the end here of Nama, and that's an exhale. Nama, Nama. These two complementary consonantal allophones, as they're called phonetically, represent the inner subject and the outward object. So we start with an Anuswara to center ourselves in the subject, and we make Madana, love, our object that we give our breath to. This is the ancient and holy language of Sanskrit. Altogether it sounds Om Madanaya Namah. We'll chant it 108 times. To keep track, we'll use the very simple but ancient technology of a mala, of prayer beads, of a rosary. And I've got a Rudraksha mala placed around your neck, if I might grab it. Thank you. Every mala has 108 beads. Why? In case you forgot. Look at the moon. How many moons can fit between our Earth and the moon? 108. Look at the sun. How many suns can fit between our Earth and the sun? Also 108. Look at the Earth. How many Earths can fit across the diameter of the sun? 108. Look at the celestial bodies considered in astrology. How many are there? 9. Look at the constellations along the plane of our solar system. How many are there? 12. Therefore, how many combinations are there of celestial bodies and constellations? 9 times 12, which is also 108. So let each bead be a moon, be a sun, be an earth. Let each bead be an astrological effect that we are transcending. Let's turn down the music so I don't have to worry about harmonizing with it. Without further ado, the all-willing, the all-winning love mantra. God willing. Aum Madinaya Namah. 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 Om 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 Madinaya Namah. Salutations to love. May all who hear this mantra benefit in all of their doings and be victorious and successful. Thank you for listening, and at the time this is recorded, happy Valentine's Day. So we've come to the end of our Sangha. But I'm grateful that we had a chance to be here together. Thank you for being part of this space. Salutations to Kali, who just became a 10-month subscriber. Om Sadhyo Jatam Prapadyami Sadhyo Jataya Vai Namo Namah Bhave Bhave Nati Bhave Bhavaswabham Bhavod Bhavaya Namah. Roxanne, thank you for your tiny yippee. Dearest Melinda, thank you for becoming a 13-month subscriber. Om Vamadevaya Namo Jeshtaya Namah Shreshtaya Namo Rudraya Namah Kalaya Namah Kalavikarnaya Namo Balaya Namo Balavikarnaya Namo Balapramathanaya Namah Sarva Bhuta Damanaya Namo Manonmanaya Namah. Thank you, dear Reina Priyaji, for your rosa. Tat Puruṣaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. Dearest Enzo, you ask, how does one learn how to pronounce Sanskrit? I'll show you. All you have to learn is 4 things. Well, you have to learn 2 things. One of those things is 5 things, and the other of those things is 3 things. All sounds in Sanskrit are produced by the interactions between the 5 elements. Akasha, space, Vayu, air, Tejas, fire, Apas, water, and Prithvi, earth. In combination with the 3 qualities of energy: Rajas, creation, Sattva, preservation, and Tamas, destruction. Every sound in the mouth corresponds to an interaction between one of 5 elements and any of the 3 energies in combination. The elements form the matter. They form the position in the mouth. The back of the mouth is the region of space, which creates all of the Akashic sounds. The soft palate is associated with sky, with air, Vayu, and is associated with all of the pranic sounds. The retroflex region in your mouth that you have to curl your tongue back to reach is associated with Tejas and creates all of the fiery sounds. Your teeth are associated with the element of earth and create all of the earthy sounds. And your lips are associated with the element of water and create all of the watery sounds. But you don't just need a place of articulation, an element to produce a sound. You also need to create a quality there. Just as I have these 5 dice, which represent the 5 elements, each dice occupies 3-dimensional space, each dimension representing a quality. For example, if we look at the northern direction, this dimension represents sattva, the quality of preservation. In phonetics, this corresponds to using your voice. So these are all the voiced sounds. On the other side, no, sorry, I've got the wrong direction. The side I'm showing, what I said is true. But the side I'm showing you, this is all of the unoccluded sounds, which means the other side, these are all the tamasic sounds. The sounds that represent destruction, that we have to occlude the flow of sound to produce. These are all the non-tamasic sounds. If I show you this dimension, these are all of the unrajasic sounds, sounds produced without breath. And on the other side is all of the rajasic sounds, sounds produced with breath. If I turn to this dimension, these are all the unvoiced, unsattvic sounds. If I turn the opposite side, these are all the voiced sounds, the sattvic sounds. So all you have to learn are the 5 places of articulations and the 3 energies. And you can produce all of the 40 sounds in Sanskrit. For example, if you take the element of fire, tejas, that means curling your tongue back like a flame. And if you want to produce a sattvic and rajasic sound of fire, sattva corresponds to voice, so you turn your breath, your vocalization on. And then if you want it rajasic, rajas corresponds to breath, so you add aspiration. And that is the equation in Sanskrit that creates the rolled R. Fire plus creation plus preservation creates the rolled R. And therefore that sound represents creation and sustenance in fire. And this is ultimately where the ancient ones got the meanings of the original words, by the sounds themselves and how they interact with all of the parts of speech, the elements and the energies. In other words, Sanskrit ultimately teaches itself the more you familiarize yourself with Prakṛti, material nature. If you study her elements and energies, she will teach you how to create meaning with sound and how to use meaning to create sound. And that is the source of all of the mantras that we do. So one more time, the equation for a rolled R in Sanskrit is tejas, fire, curl your tongue back like a flame. You should have the bottom of your tongue almost touching the roof of your mouth. Then you add sattva, the element of preservation, which is your voice. By itself, that's how vowels are made. Vowels are just an element plus sattva. The akashic vowel is ah. The Vayu vowel is E. The Tejas vowel is The Apas, the water vowel, is Oo. And the earth vowel is So you start by creating the fire vowel, and then you add rajas, the force of creation, your breath to it. You've really got to add your breath. Just sattva, just sustenance will not cut it. You have to add rajas. And that is how all of the approximants are created. You add rajas to the spatial vowel, it becomes the H. You add rajas to the palatal vowel, you get Y. You add rajas to the fire vowel, you get the rolled R. The most difficult one, you add rajas to the dental vowel, you get the rolled L. I can't sustain that one. I need more sattva, I guess. Probably the most difficult Sanskrit sound. And then you add rajas to the labial vowel, you get something in between a V and a W. Anyway, I could explore the creation of all these sounds from the point of view of the elements and their energies. You can't roll your R, dear Riyanam. Well, I just gave you the formula. The equation for a rolled R, and you have to practice it. It takes practice. The equation, again, one more time, is curl your tongue back. That's fire, the element of fire. Rajas. Sorry, tejas. But rajas comes into play. And it's not a consonant. English might have you think that R is a consonant. R is not a consonant. R is a vowel. Yes, linguists will tell you it's a semi-vowel. They're partially true. They're partially correct. It is a sonorant consonant. It can be used as a sonorant consonant. But in Sanskrit, R is a vowel. Think about it. What is a vowel? A vowel is a pure sound where no parts of your mouth actually touch each other. Ah, E, oo. These are vowels. If you curl your tongue back and just make a vowel sound, that's part of the vowel space. So don't think about it as a consonant. Think about it as the untaught vowel. Create a vowel with your tongue curled back. Using your voice, that's the element sattva. But that's not enough. And you don't do anything with your tongue. Curling your tongue back is sufficient. Adding voice is sufficient. But there's one other thing that you're missing, and that's rajas. That's your breath. Just add breath, and if you can't do it, breathe harder. That's what most people miss, is that you can't just try to wiggle your tongue. It has nothing to do with your tongue and everything to do with your breath. You can practice with other vowels. Ah. same with you create a vibrating version, not by moving your tongue in any way. Having it curled back is enough. You just add breath. And you keep practicing it. You will get it. Every human being without some medical condition, of course, is capable of doing this. Oh, the soundscape of the human being. How fascinating. Thank you, dear Ren Fox, for the ice cream cone that you sent. Om Brahmane Namah. Mermander, thank you for your heartmeat, your star, and your level up sparkles. Om Gring Kalikai Namah. And Lori, thank you for your 2025. Om Braum Hanumate Namah. Thank you, Dancing Aurora Borealis, for your trio of them. Radhe Radhe. And dear JJ, thank you for your heart, man. Om Braum Bhairvaya Namo Namah. Isn't the tongue supposed to vibrate, asked Enzo? Yes. If the tongue doesn't vibrate, you won't roll your R's or your L's. But the trick is to understand that you don't create the roll with muscle movement in your tongue. It's created by the force of the air rushing past it. Just like a flag. Flag doesn't have to flex. The pole doesn't have to do anything. Just be there. There you go. You're all one step closer to chanting the sacred language of Sanskrit. Thank you, dear Mermander, for your tiny. We have come to the end of our Sangha. Thank you very much for participating. Marcy, you ask, what are my thoughts on life path numbers or human design? You are free to shape your destiny with each action that is unique to the human being. You can be anything you want. And salutations to Bobby Sue, who became an 11th month subscriber. Om Ishana Sarva Vidyanam Ishwar Sarva Bhutanam Brahma Dipati Brahmano Dipatir Brahma Shivo Me Astu Sa Eva Sada Shiva Om. Practice makes perfect, dear Riri. Thank you, dear Regina, for your heart name. Om Narayanaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Vishnu Tano Vishnu Prachodayam. I think I messed that up in 2 ways. Let me redo that. Good Sanskrit practice. Om Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. Thank you, Bobby Sue, for your heart me and cheer you up. Om Aghorebhyo Mata Ghorebhyo Aghora Ghore Tarebhyam Sarvadha Sarva Sarvebhyo Namaste Rudra Rupebhya. And thank you, Marcy, for your rose. Om Bhairava Rudraya Maharudraya Kala Rudraya Kalpanta Rudraya Veera Rudraya Rudra Rudraya Ghora Rudraya Aghora Rudraya Martanda Rudraya Anda Rudraya Brahmanda Rudraya Chanda Rudraya Prachanda Rudraya Tanda Rudraya Shura Rudraya Veera Rudraya Bhava Rudraya Bhima Rudraya Atala Rudraya Vitala Rudraya Sutala Rudraya Mahatala Rudraya Rasatala Rudraya Talatala Rudraya Bhatala Rudraya Namo Namaha. May we all be Cupids. Cheers, Goosey Goose. Thank you for participating in this Valentine's Day special with me. Thank you to my lovely moderators for helping keep the peace. Do know that this live stream is recorded and will be put on my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel, along with the clips like our meditation, like our show and tells, like our readings. They all have their own playlists. And there's a community if you want to join or leave at any time. That's the Hridaya Kasha Discord server and also Telegram group chat if you want to join. Those are all little social media icons at the top of my link tree in my bio. And my inbox is open on my Instagram, also Telegram, WhatsApp, email. Everything I do is free, always. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Dhamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Mamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to the light, from death to deathlessness. May there be peace in us, may there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Stevie G, you're wondering what was that mantra we did? The one we just did is one of the many Shanti mantras taken from the Upanishads. There's a big list of them. There's a Wikipedia page for many of the Shanti mantras. We do one at the beginning and at the end of our Sangha. The one before that was a set of mantras, or very long mantra, enumerating the various epithets of Rudra, the one who roars. But the love mantra, the love mantra is Om Madinaya Namah. You probably won't find it anywhere on the internet. You can only find its seed described in the Kamika Agama. I'm giving you mantras you won't find anywhere else, taken directly from scriptures that have yet to be made fully public. So you're welcome. Just kidding. I require no thanks. Thank you everyone for being so lovely. If there's any way in which I can make this space more inclusive for you next time, please let me know. May you have a wonderful rest of your Valentine's Day, your love day. May you have a lovely rest of your present moment. Namaste. I have a date with the divine.